Okay, it appears I am live. So if anyone started watching, hello. Uh, so yeah, another episode of Angular Space TV. We are going to talk about signal forms again. Last week we did quite lengthy, I think, quite lengthy episodes, live coding a bunch of stuff with signal forms. It worked quite well, I would say. A lot of people watched it. Lots of comments, lots of suggestions, and now we are ready to kind of dive deeper into this. Apparently, there's been a lot of stuff that I have missed, and I did some more preparations this time, and we are going to continue working with signal forms to be like very prepared to when forms officially drop. I guess it will be in Angular version 21. It's 21, right? If I'm wrong, please feel free to correct me. My brain is a bit messed up, and I think that I might have been messing around the Angular versions. I'm not sure if we're. I think we're on version 20, right? So I think next one should be 21, and it's going to be the version where we get signal forms, probably in an experimental release, right? So yeah, so to be better prepared for that, we are going to explore a bunch of new things. Oh, hi, Michael. You know what? This is some like upper lighting just below the ceiling, and I couldn't for the life of me find where I could turn it off. So you can just imagine I'm in a sort of an Angular horror movie. There is a ghost or something haunting this place where people died trying to deliver features using reactive forms or something. So, okay, already questions. How much change we can expect in the APIs? It's good to start building with signal forms now. Well, to answer your second question, don't start building anything with signal forms that is meant to go to production for a product that users have access to, that is being used. Just to be careful enough, because you can later come into breaking changes. That's like a reasonable expectation. Okay, sometimes those changes happen. Of course, as far as we explored signal forms, they were great. A lot of that stuff makes sense, and I'm very sure that most of it will just stay the way that it is right now. But some things can change, and you don't want to go running around, especially on a big project, trying to fix everything because you assumed it would work in a certain way, but then the Angular team uh, changed something which is within their rights. So to answer the first question, how much change we can expect in the APIs? Well, obviously I don't know, but I think the basics will probably stay the same. They're already quite simplified, right? So you have this form function, you have the control directive. I know that some things might change in relation to that control directive. I don't know what it is yet, and even if I knew, I probably couldn't share. But I think the general ideas and maybe the names, some of those names probably will stay the same. I think today we will explore like schemas and how to apply and reuse validation on different forms and different approaches. Um, so maybe those things, those more advanced things, they are more risky. So probably if you have one page where you just used a signal form in a simple way, then maybe that could be all right. Everything else, well, proceed with caution. Like it's a free country. Wherever you are, you can probably use Angular the way you like. But I would suggest just not jumping into it. If you are asking this question, I assume that you're being careful. So being careful in this context is try it around, prepare yourself, maybe open a separate branch and start migrating stuff, and merge it when it becomes stable or whatnot. Love signal forms. Yeah, absolutely. Everyone for now who has been seeing this was very excited about signal forms. It's definitely great. I'll tell you that my coworkers usually don't watch my live streams because it's kind of counterproductive for them. Because in the mornings I will just come and tell them everything that went on. I will be like, signal forms, this and that. And about the signal forms, everyone was like, "Oh, this is amazing! Finally, we're done with these reactive forms, with these subscribes, observables, everything. We can just, plug our signals in. Everything works." So yeah, absolutely, everyone loves signal forms, and we're already using in production. LOL. Well, again, I applaud your bravery. I hope it doesn't change much. I hope you can just keep using it when it comes out in an official release and when it becomes stable. Yeah. So okay, before we proceed, I just yesterday I did one thing with signal forms which I will not show right now because it's not exactly about signal forms, but one super fun thing. You might have read my previous article, my latest, about building like AI powered apps with Angular using Gemini. And in that article was a bit quite simplistic. It was entry level, but in the next one, I'm discussing like structured outputs and function calling and quite more complex and interesting things. And I thought to myself, since it's so simple to create a signal form, right? And it's quite easy to derive a signal from something, from a data you have, or from an HTTP call, or from an observable. Why cannot I use like the Gemini API and create a generative UI where I can ask Gemini to create my Angular signal form for me? And I succeeded. So I almost finished my next article draft. Hopefully it will be out next week. So definitely check that out. It aside from Gemini, it also has this cool example with signal forms where you have just this text input and you type, I don't know, I want a login form, and then Gemini generates a schema for you, and then we derive a signal, and based on that signal we'll create this beautiful form, and whatever user types they can. That really super user experience, something like Google Forms, but you can type in just whatever form you want and not just get the schema, but also like see it in action. You can just, it's like a real form. You can play around. You can input data and text and so on and so on. So yeah, keep an eye out for my next article. Yeah. So I think we are in a position to. I think I just need to start sharing my screen. So yeah, let's do a bit of a revision of what we did last week. I will show these components next. And we essentially worked on like this logging component and register component. We learned how to define a signal form, and we learned how to like provide conditional validations and I don't know, validation in general, conditional disabling of controls. And it was, everything was quite simple. I did a lot of complaining about being confused around these brackets. So to kind of remind everyone, there is a rule of thumb I came up with, that if you want to access something on a particular control, that could be a simple control, that could be a form group if we use the terminology from reactive forms. If you want to access something from that form, so for example, I want to check if this form is valid or invalid, then I don't call it. Sorry. then I call it, and then I have access to its properties like errors, valid, invalid. But if I want to access something on its nested form, on its child, I don't call it, I just chain and I find the one that I need. For example, in this case, I take on password and I call password because I want to access something on the password controls. I want to pick its errors signal, or maybe I would like to check if it's disabled or if it's whatever. Okay, so rule of thumb: if you're accessing something on this particular form, like is disabled state or error state, you call. Sorry, this is a bad rule of thumb. You call it to access those. If you want to work with a nested or child control, you don't call it. You chain with dot. You find the one that you need, and then you call that one. So that's more or less kind of a rule of thumb that might work. um, let's see some questions. Are signal forms stable to just? No. Signal forms are not only not stable, but they are not even, as far as I understand, they're not a part of a stable release. So they are like experimental. You, I, after near the end, I will show how I am getting signal forms in this test project, so that we can try them out. Will we have a test example in this session? I don't know. It depends on two things. One is how much time I get, because I get tired doing these things. I have already a lot of examples kind of prepared. Some of them are prepared like practically. I have some code to show, and some of them, but mentally I know that I need to live code this and that. And the other thing is my willingness to do that. I'm not very good at unit testing. Please forgive me. My career as a developer working on lots of outsourced projects didn't prepare me that well for unit testing. I am obviously familiar with them, but if we have time, I will try to do that. If not, I promise to explore it, and maybe on another live stream, maybe we'll circle back, or maybe we'll do a live stream on testing all the modern Angular features at some point. So hopefully, at least at some point, we will cover it. Okay. Right. So before we move on with today's live coding, I wanted to show you something. Here is an article by Amos Isela. Man, if you're watching, I'm sorry if I pronounced your name incorrectly. I hope I didn't. So this is an article about the Angular signal forms. Another one. On the previous one, we explored this one by Manfred Steyer, all about Angular new signal forms. Very good article. And here is another one. The author of this article, commented on Twitter and shared it. I gave it a read. It's a very good one with like also visual examples of what we are actually building in this article. Very good examples. I learned a bunch of stuff about it. I will also post it after the live stream on Twitter, so you can check it out. Definitely check it out. It's like really good. Combined with Manfred's article, these two will probably cover everything that you need to know. Okay, thanks for sharing this one. Okay, as far as I understand, we can start doing some live coding. And here, okay, we're back. We're back in this project. Let me increase this font size a bit. Yeah. So this time I have one prepared example. So it's an example that is already working, and it is an example about custom control components, right? So I'm going to say a word or maybe an identifier, right? And you tell me if that makes you feel uncomfortable a bit, right? Here we go. Control value accessor. Okay. If you hear that name and you say, "Oh man, that thing has caused me some uncomfortable feelings in the past, that you know what, you're not alone. It's easy on the surface, but it has a bunch of stuff that can make you go crazy, and it's a lot of boilerplate, which is, you know, in my opinion, boilerplate isn't bad, but if you can cut out boilerplate, that's good, at least in terms of like education. When you teach Angular to someone, when you explain how things work and you get to control value accessory, it's a bit hard. It's a bit like, oh, you know, man, you need to bring this interface, you need to implement it. And it's also in kind of an unintuitive way, because you don't actually implement the things that change the value of a control or something. Essentially, you just pick up the callbacks that would allow you to perform those changes on controls and write the value from the parent to the child. When you learn about it, it's kind of, yeah, makes sense. But to teach someone about control value accessory is a bit challenging. And I'm very happy to say that doing that with Angular signal forms is now so easy. It's like you will not believe how easy it is. So I'm going to, let's check if we have any comments. We don't. So here's another vibe coded page. Let's say we have a product page for something something. Well, apparently these are headphones, right? And here we have a custom Angular control component, right? We have this rating component, and you can see that it is working. We can put different ratings, right? And it reflects here how many stars did we give this product. But also, and this is important, this part here, we are showing the rating in the parent component. This is actually in the parent component. I will show you in just 1 second. So we change it in the child component, we pick a value, and the change is being reflected in the parent component. So this is this would be a control value accessor if we were using like reactive forms or template-driven forms. Let's see the code for the product component. Again, most of it is just vibe coded. It's just some styles. We can just close it up. So here we have this rating form that has like rating. Initially, it's 4 rating form. This is all simple. We know this already from previous live stream. And here we have this app rating component, which just receives this control, just like we would do with an input or radio button or text area or whatever. So this is what we would call control value accessor previously when we did like reactive forms. And here, as you can see, we're displaying the rating in the parent component, reading the signals value. So this is not in the child component, this is in the parent. So now let's see how app rating is working, how it passes the value back and forth. And trust me, if you already don't know the answer, at this point, this is really going to make you happy. Okay, here is the rating component. Let's close the styles. We're not implementing anything. There is nothing here fancy. We're not providing ng value accessor. The only thing you need to do to your component to make it like a control value accessor is to provide a model input named value. Boom. This is so amazing. The first time I made it, I didn't believe that it has become so easy, so intuitive. Okay, if you have a component that is a value accessor, right? Then it has a value, right? It has an internal value that you need to communicate with the outside world, and you also need to change it based on the outside world. So you need to receive a value and write it and emit a value. Well, just make a two-way input, a model input named value, and that's it. And it now automatically works with the control directive. You don't need to do anything. Okay. It works. It works. Now, if I click like somewhere, it will become. It will become. It will get a new value and it will be sent to the parent. And if I change the value in the parent, it will be sent to the child component. And this is simply amazing. We already saw that it is working. To go even further, you can do the disabled stuff, right? You want to mark this component as disabled. Well, just define a disabled input. Let's say with the default value of false, right? This should work. So if we go, let's do something with the, let's add a disabled class here, and maybe update some of the styles. Disabled, pointer events none, PST, yeah, this kind of makes sense. And let's go and change our parent component so that this disabled, so that this form becomes disabled. Okay, let's see if it works. It works. Yeah, I cannot click on it now, and it's a bit opaque compared to these other stars here, which are just this is not an input. This is just a regular UI element, and boom, it works. It's disabled, and if I do let's do this funny thing. Let's say I create a timer, which I timer disabled, let's call it, and I will do, what will I do? I will do to signal, and I will use an ArcGIS timer for 3 seconds, and then I will do map to true. Yeah, the map2 function, by the way, is deprecated. By the way, I don't like this import way. Let's do this. These operators and map it to true. So initially it will be false. Then it will become true based on, what did I miss? Yeah, I think this way, and the default. Initial value, right? Initial value is false for this timer, and then it will become true. And here we can provide just this timer disabled option, and let's go back, see how it goes. Okay, it's enabled now, but yeah, now it became disabled. So yeah, it just works. It just works out of the box. Pretty incredible. Pretty incredible. So this is just mind-blowingly cool. So much better than simple. Yeah, I absolutely agree. At first time I did it, I actually thought, I read the example, and I said, okay, let's code it up. I put the code, and before trying it out, I was like, I'm definitely missing something. This cannot be this simple, okay? But apparently it can be. It can be. One small, maybe even tiny thing that bothers me is that maybe you can make a typo in the name value, and then it won't work, right? Maybe Angular will provide an interface, but that's a bit of a stretch. It's one word, and it's a very simple word. I would love for Angular to give some sort of interface that you can implement, but the implementation is incredibly simple because you just put the value which needs to be a model input, and then you can choose what type of data it can receive. But yeah, it's absolutely amazing. So control value accessor will not be used anymore. Well, not for signal forms. So I don't know when reactive or template-driven forms will go out the window. I assume, again, this is an assumption. I also talked about it on the previous live stream. I assume at some point they will go away, but it's not confirmed. I'm not giving you any insider information. I don't even have any. I'm not aware of the official plans, but the direction that this is going kind of makes me feel that at some point template-driven forms and reactive forms will become obsolete. They will be deprecated, and at some point they will become unavailable. But again, this is speculation. I'm not sure. So yeah, after that, control value accessor will lose its meaning at all. But if you start working exclusively with signal forms, then yeah, you won't be using control value accessor in the future. If you are doing exclusively signal forms, you don't need them. You just define your value in a component. Boom, it's automatically a control value accessor component by itself. You don't need an interface. You don't need to provide the ng value accessor injection token. Yeah. I cannot tell you how much time I've spent playing with control value accessors, overrides all those methods, and basically not really knowing what's going on. Big mess and hard to debug. I agree almost fully. I would say that it goes very bad when you are implementing something super custom. In most cases, it's just, I have to write this boilerplate again. But yeah, I agree. It's a mess. It's hard to teach people about it. And it's kind of a, everyone is coming up with ways to implement it. Like, oh, let's make a base control class that already implement and extend our component. All of those solutions are fine, I guess, but now we don't need any of those. So yeah, I agree. If we get rid of control value accessor, let's celebrate. Yeah. Okay. So to move on, I think what I want to show next is using schemas. Okay, using schemas. So let me share my screen. Oh, wait a second. Yeah. Okay. So what are schemas? Schemas are essentially ways of defining parts of forms or even like entire forms that you can like reuse elsewhere. Okay. And they are, I think, super handy in terms of like if you're doing reactive forms, because this is something that is relevant to reactive forms but not relevant to template-driven forms at all. In template-driven forms, there is no feature that you are replacing with schemas. Okay. But in reactive forms, essentially, you are capable of defining a form somewhere with its validations and some parts of its logic, and then passing it elsewhere, reusing it. It isn't a popular approach. To be honest, I'm not sure I've ever done it on a real project. And usually, when we had to kind of replicate the same part of a form elsewhere, like in a separate component, we usually went like, okay, Control C, Control V, to just copy paste that part of the form elsewhere with the validations and blah blah blah. So with signal forms, you have this powerful abstraction called schema, and schemas are cool because they are essentially just functions that you can reapply in other forms. So let's make a schema for whatever. Let's say for this product we have these items, right? Let's make a component where you can sort of input like this category and price and whatever for a product. Let's make a create product component. Yes. And before like implementing the component itself, let's implement a schema for that form. So in that form, we kind of are aware that certain fields are going to exist, and we say, okay, you pick this field that exists, and then you do something with it. You apply required validation or some async validator or some condition or a disabled state or whatever, right? So let's do it from scratch. Let's just import from Angular forms/signals, and we are going to import schema. All right. And if I type something like product schema, I can do this. Right, but now my context is kind of unknown. So I need to provide a generic argument. I need to show what fields exist within the schema. So I could do an interface product schema, right? I hope I'm doing it right. So let's just use the same names from here, right? So it has title, description, price, and category. Title, description, price. Let's remove these two. This will cause problems. We don't care about that. And here we can pass like product schema, I guess. So yeah. Now we have this. Now we have this context that is aware that this is a field product schema, right? So we theoretically have access to like the title, and here we can do. For example, we can bring the required validator, right? Let's start like with something simple. We can do required context.title. Okay, title is required field, whatever. And maybe here is also a min validator. Price cannot be lower than 0, right? Okay, so now we have defined the schema, and let's make a simple component. Create product. Yeah, Copilot is of course not aware about the signal forms. It tries to autocomplete using the reactive forms. So let's say we have a product that is a signal. Actually, maybe we can just here we can say product schema, so it becomes kind of simpler, yeah. So we are assured that we have these fields of this type. And then we can do like form equals, let's bring also the form. And we don't have to suffer that much. This dot product, right? And then we do what? We say x, and here we use the apply function, right? Apply, and we do apply, I guess something like this, right? So we say apply to this form path, so the entire form in this case, the product schema that we defined here, right? So this required and mean validations will come and apply to the form, right? And maybe let's cook up a simple template, something like yeah. Well, let's bring the control directive, right? And here let's go input. So this if it's for the title, then we can just do control equals form title, placeholder title. Yeah, let's just add inputs for all of them, and then we will add some validations. Yeah, let's just do this. Yeah, okay. Well, first of all, let's just recheck. Let's add it to our routing and recheck create product. By the way, one fun thing that I noticed recently with Copilot, that it now always completes with this load children, which is great, or lazy loading all the components. These ones I typed by hand. Create product. Let's see how our form looks. Okay, create product. We did something terribly wrong. Create product is another subtype of engine module type. Wait, what? Sorry. Here I was praising, Copilot, and it actually hallucinated when it load component. Yeah, create product. Yeah, we have these fields now. And yeah, let's check if, for example, this mean validation works, right? Under the price, next to the price input, let's say, or maybe let's just do if form dot price dot errors dot how do I check if I have an error? Oh, interesting question. I don't know how I can check if I have an error of a certain kind. For example, well, I know this is an array, so yeah, theoretically I can do like filtering and finding, and maybe I would rather write a pipe, but is there like an official way of doing it? No, obviously this is something that Copilot tries to autocomplete. Wait. Errors, why does the condition will always return true? Oh, yeah, I know. So if I call it, now it's an array at 0 dot kind equals min. I mean, price must be positive. Okay, but if we try this out, it will work for our purposes, right? Yeah, price must be positive. Yeah, it works. It works. And I'm glad it works. So before I complain a bit, let me just recap what we did. So here we created a product schema, and this product schema kind of uses this sort of form. So you can't pass any form here, right? It needs to adhere to this interface. And then you can apply validations and disable a bunch of fields or make them read-only, I don't know, and so on and so forth. And then you can just use the apply function and do apply a schema, and boom, bam, you have your form here. Okay. Now, if we like, let's say I duplicate this. Is there a button to duplicate a file? Let's say just Control C, Control V here, and we have a. Which one is the copy? Here, this one is the copy. Let's now rename this copy to edit product dot component dot yes. Okay. Now I will delete this from this edit product component, and let's go and move this schema to another file. Let's say I'm creating a new file here. Product schema.yes. Let's do product.schema. Maybe it's more in line with. Yeah, let's import everything. Why is it complaining? Ah, well, because of a terribly wrong import. Sorry. Yeah, this works. So yeah, in the create product, we just need to. We need to export this and export this. Come here and import this and import this. So this will continue to work. Now we have an edit product. I'm not going to change anything other than just the name of it. And let's say here we put edit product component. It doesn't matter. And we import the same schema. And yes. And also let's edit to here. Edit product. Edit product. Edit product. Oh, I made a typo. Yeah, now this has to work. This has to work. This has to work. Edit product dot component. Why is it complaining? Edit product dot component. Maybe it's just a quirk of. Yeah, I think it built successfully. Let's go and check. So create product. Does it work? Yeah, price must be positive. This works. And now let's do edit product. We'll see the edit product. Yeah, and this works. We successfully shared our form with the schema between two components. Yeah, this is pretty amazing. This is pretty amazing. I want to address comments. I think we have a bunch of comments. Da, 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 da. Michael says, I have understood CVA for non-traditional controls like stars, but I've never found it viable for a simple child form group or something. Happy there is an alternative soon. Funnily enough, my entire life I was fighting against the situation where people would take a form group. For example, you have this big form that has a nested form group and pass that form group as an input to another component. I would say, oh, we need to implement control value accessor, blah, blah, blah. Maybe in the end of the day, it was actually better because, especially with large nested forms, CVA was such a mess. So yeah, it's great that we have with the capability now to implement it so easily. Can we build custom control that works at the same time with signal forms and reactive forms? Implements control value accessor. Well, I think that's the funny thing that I assume I am not going to try it right now because I'm so happy living in the signals world. I don't want to type anything related to reactive forms tonight. But I assume, well, if we just go back to what we have here, like I have this model input, right? Nothing prevents me from typing implements control value accessor here, and also implementing all those methods. For example, if I implement, like, let's say implement right value, I'm not going to, but I can just do this value dot set the value that arise, and I can just work with this component through that mean. And for disabled, I can do like set disabled state, and well, I cannot do that with an input, but if I change it to model, I guess it will continue working. Let's check if disabled is a model that our rating component continues working. Let's just quickly recheck. Let's go back to product, and yeah, I think it being disabled, it's not, yeah, I think it works. So yeah, essentially, I think we quickly checked that the answer to your question is. I lost your question. Can we build something that works at the same time with signal forms and reactive forms? I think the answer is a resounding yes. Yeah, we can do that. That's actually great news. If you already have reusable components that work with CVA, just in those components, you definitely have a property that stores the value of the control, right? Just make it a model input and it will start working. Rename it to value, not a very hard refactor. Rename it to value, make it a model input. It works with the control directive now. So yeah, that's great. Signal forms are pretty cool, but rewriting all the forms sounds like a lot of work. Will there be an automated way to handle that? I have no authority to like answer it definitely, but I would say 99% no, there won't be an automated way because these are quite different, and especially with reactive forms, you could do so many ridiculous things. Like in a project that I worked on, there was a standard practice where you would take the value changes observable of a nested form control, pass it to a completely wildly different RxJS stream, then subscribe to that one, then set the disabled state of another control of another form. You get where I'm going with this. I bet there won't be. Like, automate this. Automate this. It's a super hard question. Like, if you think about a reactive form purely from the perspective, like, okay, there's this form builder dot group here, we created the form. If it was so easy to work with reactive forms as if in just define them in one place, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now. We wouldn't be having signal forms. So I guess for for reactive forms, no. And about template driven, definitely no, because in terms of template driven, if you have a custom validator that is a directive, you need to go to directive, you need to pick the logic from the directive, turn it into a functional validator that you have in signal forms, and then reapply it to wherever you are defining that form. There are so many levels of indirection there. Like your custom directive that is doing validation could be injecting a service that is injecting a service that is injecting a service that is finally doing the validation. And that's just a lot of work. So while I cannot say definitively I'm not a member of the Angular core team, but probably not. That's sad. But we have AI now. We have like pretty great agents. I think in the future when this is stable, I maybe will do another live stream and discuss like doing these refactorings using AI. Maybe we will cook up a good MD file for the agent to kind of know about all the rules, all the possibilities, how to follow like different dependencies and try to refactor as best as we can. But for now, like an automated thing, as we had like with migrating decorator-based input to signal-based input, probably not. Has error? This is in reference to checking the error. Oh, I didn't think about it. Okay, that's a good suggestion. I will circle through the comments and then retry it. Yeah, forms as inputs have so many pitfalls with reactivity, but seems to be the necessary evil. At least with application code with children being a single group, a form service can prevent the need. Yeah, that was another approach that was revealed to me too late. Like, guys, I'm already thinking about doing like I'm already mentally preparing for signal forms. I don't care about injecting form groups here and there. I hope we can put this behind us. The Reddit forums AMA mentioned there has been ideas to try to auto-refactor signal forms, but nothing serious in that front nor commitment. Yeah, that makes sense. I think I don't want to say it's infeasible. For example, to be clear, I'm not a specialist in writing like compilers or ESLint rules. I don't know anything past like the usual AST tree, right? The abstract syntax tree. I am just judging it on the surface as a quite complicated problem. Way more complicated than using like the input schematic, right, for migration. Correction with AI. Okay. Now that's interesting. But again, if there is no commitment, which I wasn't that attentive to that, but if there is no commitment, that for now we can safely say that, you know what, we are not sure that it will land. But maybe Angular, has been cooking a bunch of things with AI and with MCP servers. So who knows? By the way, I promise soon we will have one of our previous guests back and talk a lot about MCP servers and integrating them within your Angular projects and even like within your code. So stay tuned on that. Let's retry the has error thing, right? So here we checked for, let's say we're doing the edit product routine, right? So here we use this approach, like price errors at 0. If the kind of that error is min, then we show something like price must be positive. But of course, this is not a great approach because like we're not sure it's going to be the first error, right? There could be a bunch of other validations. And in that case, we probably need a way to just say find the error of this kind in the list of the errors. So I could make a pipe, right? I could write a pipe and then I would go something like errors kind pipe. Sorry, like min. I could write a pipe that does it for me, filters the array, blah blah blah. But I guess we must have an easier. It has a field called has property, but does errors have something on it? No, errors is essentially just a signal of that array. So nothing? Man, this is a bit of a letdown. I'm definitely missing something. I bet there is a way to check, like, there's a bunch of things here. Value, valid, touch, submitting, reset, read-only property. What is this? Read an aggregate property value from the field. Haven't even covered that yet. Pending, name, market, touch, market, the key in parent. The property in the parent field under which the field is stored. The parent field is array value, for example, this index of the definitely not what we are looking for. Hidden errors, error summary. A signal containing the errors of the field and the descendant. Yeah, but those are the default errors. When we did like the custom error, we could provide the kind of the error and a message. I think those are the ones we don't need. Disabled reasons. No, I'm not seeing anything. If someone knows how to do it, then be my guest. Please leave a comment and we will refactor this code back. For now, let's keep it as is. If there was a non-core member to have a good idea of potential migration feasibility, it would be Enia, I bet. Yeah, you're right. Maybe we should ask him. Maybe he is watching. He was watching one of our previous live streams. Let's take him on Twitter. How are validators supposed to work with the new signal form? Which validators? Well, if you refer to validators in general, then we already showed it both in the previous live stream and this live stream. You just apply them as a function. If you think about your custom validators, well, they are fairly easy to refactor, even if you have like an ng model driven form, right? If you have a directive that acts as a validator. For a human, that must be quite easy refactoring to make them work with signal forms. So okay, let me reshare my screen and let's go to the article. Okay, let's go to this article from Amos, and here we have. This is where I read a lot about using. There is a lot of in-depth explanation. Okay, so in the live stream we are a bit covering it all. Superficially in a way, like let's try a bunch of things, but in this article there's a lot of explanation on how it works sort of like internally, especially this part about the paths and the path kinds, like what they essentially mean in the abstract. This is very good if you want to truly master the forms, signal forms. Definitely read this article. And here about the schemas, there is one very fascinating thing about schemas that I really like. So we already covered this part. One very fascinating thing was using schema validators like Zod, right? And let's search Zod somewhere here. Yeah, we have, if you have like the Zod integration, if you have defined your schema as something with the Zod. This makes it extra easy because now you don't need to use the schema creation function. So essentially you kind of hit two objectives at once. So let's try it with Zod, right? The MCP CLI branch does a for loop over the errors, then a switch statement of errors dot kind. Okay. Interesting. I think after this one, I will go on the Slack channel of the GDs and ask there if there are any plans of adding. Because if I remember correctly, please correct me if I'm wrong, but reactive forms had a function called hasError, right, where you could pass the name, and I guess it doesn't play very well with signals. I don't know. Okay, so let's install Zod on this project. By the way, fun fact, this is the first time I'm installing Zod on Angular project. I am very familiar with it in terms of I've read a bunch of stuff and I tried it out somewhere, but I've never actually used it in production. So we have our schema, right? Schema. So here we define an interface and we define this, blah, blah, blah. And let's say I want to change this a bit. I want to write, let's import nothing from Angular forms / signals. Let's import that from Zod, right? And here let's demolish this interface. Instead we will do, the same thing. I'm not even sure if it does correct completions, but let's pretend that it does. Again, this is not the very first time I'm using Zod, but I'm not super familiar. I guess Copilot cooked something up. So essentially we have title, we have description, price, category, same things, number, string, category, mean. I don't care about all of these things. Let's keep it simple. Message title is required. This doesn't make sense. It doesn't make any sense. So many. This also doesn't make sense to me. So let's just keep it simple, okay? Minimum price is 0 and message is price not positive. All right. And we have here in the edit product, right? Let's change also this one. We have this schema, product schema, but we cannot apply it this way. Let's also forget about this. Or maybe, let's say export functions that infer, so this will continue working. Product schema, yeah. So this works. The only problem is this one, but Angular forms for signals. This package provides apply something. It's, or how was it called? Schema. Let's check the article. That's where I learned about it. Integration. Validate. Validate. Standard. Well, it doesn't suggest anything of this kind to me. Validate standard schema. Angular form signals. Is this something very new? I don't know. I haven't tried this before the live stream, so maybe anyone has any ideas. Okay, let us go back on this one. Maybe I need to do, you know what? Let's do npkill. Let's delete everything we have and reinstall. By the way, this is a good chance while this is going on. We can delete this, and maybe this validate with standard schema is something that became available later. Non-modules is empty. This is great. Let's do npm I. Legacy peer depth true, and I'm gonna show you why. So if you haven't tried signal forms on your own and you don't know which experimental release or whatever you want to try to get access to it, or for that matter, any other upcoming feature, experimental feature that is already there but is not part of a stable release that you want to try out, what you need to do, and here I want to say thanks, Michael, again. I did a short thread a while ago based on a repo that he has that will help you get things running on an experimental project to try things out. If you want to try anything that was released like just yesterday at night with Angular, you need to go to your package.json and you need to change all the Angular dependencies to use Angular animations build, Angular common build, Angular compiler build. Notice that you're not changing the name of the packages. You are installing Angular compiler, Angular common, Angular animations. But instead of a concrete version, you say go and pick up this latest blah 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 version. Okay, so there is this some sort of version that it notices on GitHub. This goes and checks in their actual like build, latest builds they did when merging something into a branch that is going to be released. Okay, so you can use this setup. You know what? Maybe actually after the live stream, but not today. I will go straight to sleep after this. But after the live stream, maybe tomorrow, I will just put this project up on GitHub and share it on Twitter and on LinkedIn. You can come and clone it. But in general, just know the approach. And when you are installing using these versions, you need to provide the legacy pure depth argument. Okay, when you provide it, it kind of works. I don't know why. I am not that kind of expert. Okay, so we reinstalled it using maybe a later build. Let's try it out. Let's see if it works in any way. Angular form signals cannot find module. You can find that module. I bet you can. We did an installation. So let's run ngserve and try to convince you that you can run it. Let's check the comments while it's building. From Michael again. The closest thing to has error I see in the code is that there is a to-do in the interrupt control file asking if they should consider has error for the interrupt. Oh, nice. I hope it works out, but I have this tiny and bad suspicion that it kind of doesn't play well with signals. Let's wait and see. It should show up if you go to Michael Small Fists. Oh, if you go there using reactive forms, Michael is gonna beat you up. And we'll link back to Armen's post on it. This is about GitHub gists or gists. I have no idea what that words mean, by the way. If anyone has any explanations, please let me know if it's pronounced gists or gists and whatever the hell does that mean. But on GitHub, yeah, you can go and check, and I will relink my thread later so you can check it up and you can get it up and running. Oh, funny news. My project is not building now. Yeah, let's go back to. It says cannot find name TypeScript. Amazing. What did we wrong? What did we do wrong? TypeScript. Maybe I need a different version of TypeScript. Oh, I actually don't have a version of TypeScript here. Huh. Do I need a version of TypeScript here? Maybe in dev dependencies I should add like TypeScript something. What's even a good version? I don't know. Is it an old version or? And I don't remember what version TypeScript is on. JavaScript latest version. 593. Yeah, this is quite old. It seems 59. Let's put 590 and let's get rid of this tilde. And I what? Unknown. Is it confused travel? What does it? What do you mean? No matching version from 359 euro? Really? Okay, let's bring the damn tilde back. These errors are gone. Looks like it. Yeah, but I wouldn't pretend to be that happy. Argument of type was object. Yeah, that makes sense. Now when we run it, we hope to run into this error. Okay, building. Yeah, maybe installing TypeScript. Yeah, worked. Okay, yeah, this throws an error because apparently we're supposed to have this other function, validate standards. There is no function called validate standard schema, guys. There is no function named that. So maybe we cannot use actually standard schema validation error. So there is a standard schema validation error, but no validate. Maybe we can just use the validate function. Validate schema. Nope. Maybe we can just use. I'm no master of Zod. How do we force validation? Let's recheck the article one more time. Well, the article definitely refers to validate standard schema, but I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it. Oh, we have an explanation on the word. The good explanation on the meaning of it is the essential core info of something. Get the gist of it or get the gist of it. Because to be honest, the gist. You mean gist, right? Gist. Yeah. Okay. Gist. I assume you meant gist. Get the gist of it. Right. There's an expression like that, right? Yeah. Thank you. With nightlies, there's a chance on a merge day like this that something could temporarily be merged with. Okay. That's a reasonable explanation. So if something like that explains the situation, if something like that existed at that moment, I will also ask the author on Twitter. But if something like that existed, it may be safe to assume that it will probably be available at some point, and it kind of makes sense. For example, with HTTP resource and resources, we got the ability to validate, parse with Zod schemas and so on, so that we could verify that the data we get from the backend or from wherever is correct. So it would make all the sense to allow your signal forms to just be validated using Zod, and would simplify everything even further. Like if you're already using Zod, and even if you're not using, you will just need to slightly change your interfaces or types, whichever you're using, and then you can just apply your validation. You can write your validation there, apply it. Super simple. Would love that. 5.9, I think, for 21. Docs page for Angular version. But yeah. Thanks for checking it so fast. Yeah, we got it fixed. Do you need to import the standard schema lib? Oh, I sent you the depth needed on Twitter. Man, if you haven't watched our first live stream, the very first live stream of Angular Space TV, Michael was our guest, and he is the most helpful person on Angular community everywhere. He either knows the answer to everything, or he will know 2 minutes later after you ask the question and will gladly tell you. So please give him a follow on Twitter, and also maybe if you haven't, give it a watch, our very first live stream. It was about Angular signals and what we need to expect from them in the future. So, okay, let's go back to screen sharing, and apparently we need to install this package, standard schema spec. Okay, let's reinstall it. Yeah, let's go. Okay, and now validate standard schema. Yeah, maybe VS Code won't be that fast to like pick this up, but let's run it and see if it works. Has no exported member validate standard schema. Is this something actually that I need to import from? Wait. Import validate standard schema. Okay. Still not working, but we are kind of getting closer. I don't know. I'm just doing wild assumptions here. I don't know. Not really. Let's go reread comments. As a normal depend. Yeah, I'm stupid. I am stupid. You might remember that from our previous live stream. So let's do it here. Let's do it this way. Npm uninstall standard. Where is the autocomplete when you need it the most? Like, this is a super simple thing, man. This drives me crazy. Okay, we did an uninstall. Okay, let's reinstall now in the dependencies. Yeah. Okay. And now we need to validate standard. No, not from here. Well, this keeps suggesting that there is a package called standard schema / Angular. I'm unaware of it. And I don't trust these Copilot suggestions, but okay, maybe validate standard schema does exist. So okay, NGS. Let's go. Nope. Well, let's go back to the comments. No new comments. I'm sorry, Michael. I couldn't make it run. I'm just rechecking this article. Despite this small hiccup, it is really useful. And before going lights out, I want to at least try one more thing. I want to try a truly dynamic form. And for me, a truly dynamic form, like I think in the previous one, we discovered that you can just, read something from somewhere, turn it into a signal, then turn that signal into a form. That's a dynamic form. But what I want to actually try is making making my form dynamic in terms of like internally dynamic. For example, let me just share and show what I mean. Let's kind of forget about this for a moment. Let's just use phi. Let's go to the schema TS file and get rid of these. Can we just use Control Z here? Yeah, we can do a bunch of Control Z statements here. Bring the form back to how it used to be, and then use PTX, not this. Down arrow here. This is fixed. Let's just quickly recheck that this works as expected. Yay, it works. Okay, we're back. Now, let's say I want to add the ability to select something else based on the category that the user selected. Okay, this is like an example of a quite complex form where, for example, if you select the category, then you can select, for example, a subcategory, right? Or maybe a brand, right? A brand, depending on a category, those would be different. For example, if you input, like, let's say we have categories, not just string, but like phone and I don't know, laptop, tablet, whatever, stuff like this. And then in the brand, you have stuff like this. Okay, not an advertisement, but now that we have this, we want to kind of define a way that, for example, when we have a tablet, although it's not helpful that all of these companies are making tablets, but let's pretend that only, for example, Apple makes a phone and a tablet, and Samsung makes a phone and a laptop, and Google makes like a phone and a tablet. Okay, something that is more or less true in reality. So Apple makes like all of these, and Samsung doesn't make a laptop, stuff like that. So when we pick this one, we want the brand to appear. We don't just want to filter out which ones we see, but we want this dynamic UI where the control for brand doesn't exist before we input a category, right? So now here, if we have the category, is not assignable to, let's here at other, and we'll just use this other category. And now we need to add brand, and let's say brand can be can be empty. Let's say we might not enter a brand, doesn't matter. Let's save. So now, the thing is, if here I add this kind of forces me to already have this input. For example, this input is not required at all. So it can just simply not exist. So we can go here and just make it optional. And obviously, we can just delete this. So what we now want, let's add a categories array, right? Is it the same that we had here? Yes. And let's add a why is it doing ng if still? Let's add a select, but not the brand, the category. And here we will do for category of categories. Yes. Let's create this. Sorry. Select. Yes. Let's create this and value. Select. Yes, we did all the bindings. Let's quickly check. Tab is assignable. Blah blah blah. Category. Where is the select? Do we have an error here somewhere? Yeah, we do. That's schema category, which is declared here. Expected tab comes from where wrong tab is not able to front of it or other. That's the problem. Type is not assignable category. This needs to be something like other. Yeah, okay, makes sense. Okay, it's building now. Yeah, we have also the stupid input here. We can just remove it. Okay. It was in the create product, right? Sorry, we need to remove it from edit product, although it doesn't matter. Now, we don't have a brand field here, and I want to add a brand field when the user selects a category that is other than other, which is not other. When the category is other, there are no brands. It's some super custom thing. But when they select, for example, a laptop, we want to allow them to select if the brand is Apple or if it's, I don't know what other options we had there. Google. There are Chromebooks, right? I don't know if those are made by Google. Yeah. So how do we do that? Let's quickly check the comments and see if anyone had any ideas. Samsung does make laptops. Really? I like Samsung products. I have a Samsung TV. I one time I even went home and turned on the YouTube on the smart TV and immediately after a live stream, and I got suggested my own live stream that I just finished. I didn't watch it, but it was funny. Interesting. I didn't know. I've never seen Samsung laptops. That's interesting. Oh, you know what? Michael has sent me another solution to using the. Okay, well, that's kind of schema. So what do I need to do here? Package JSON. Let me check the package JSON here. And the schema spec is installed. And what else is installed here? Wait. Okay. I promise to retry it after the live stream, but Michael, thank you so much. Okay, final thing I'm trying. Let's cook up the dynamic form. So let's make it so. I mean, if we try adding simply the field, that would be super easy. Okay, let's say we have a brands array, and brands array can actually be a computed. Why am I making this computed? Because I want to show that we can, filter out stuff based on the signal form. So we will pick up like this dot form dot category dot value, something like this. Okay, whatever. It doesn't matter that much, but Microsoft doesn't make phones, as far as I remember. So yeah. Here we did is that okay, if the brands depend on the value of the category field, okay, and now we can just do an if statement and say if the form dot, let's do it next to the previous select, if user has selected a standard category like one that we recognize and allow brands for view other. If it's not called other, so it's a known thing, we can just do, and now we have the problem that so we don't have a form called brand, right? Wait. Okay. Yeah. Brands. I didn't return it from here. Yes. So that made me feel. What did we mess up? By the way, you can see it's so type safe that it kind of takes on. It says that tab undefined is not assignable type field state Apple, Samsung, Google, Microsoft, other string or number. But this is a kind of weird type. Where do we have type value? Brand is an array of strings, right? And brand can be empty. Here that's allowed. And I'm not providing. What if I do as const here and here? Or maybe I could just wait. Don't be stupid. Let's just do this as const. Oh, I cannot do this? Why can I not do this? A const assertion cannot be returned. Okay. So I wasn't stupid. And as const here. No? Oh. Yeah. Will this help? Apparently no. Well, it certainly doesn't help that we don't have this form builder. Okay, let's just check that this works, just without binding it to anything. Tablets, yeah. Now we can see this, and top, yeah, it kind of works. And as far as I know, control directive does not accept optional properties like brand, optional string. Yeah, seems like that. I haven't tried it. It's the first time. Microsoft Lumia. Oh, do they still make those? I haven't seen one for quite a while. We are doing a very modern product store online, e-shopping with signal forms. If this is a phone that is out of production, we don't have it. Okay, so let's retry and bring this back. Wait, I'm not sharing my screen, am I? Yeah, here it is. So let's bring it back and just add the brand. Okay. Oh, maybe we need to. Well, if we remove this and this works, okay, it works now. Okay, that's a big question that I have now. So our forms cannot have completely dynamic things like, huh. Well, I want to quickly give you a rundown. Like, what would I do? Let's say in reactive forms, we used to do stuff like add control. That's how that method was called, and remove control, right, and insert controls inside form arrays at some positions, right? And it was kind of a mess. And essentially, if you think about it, is it really important to have or not have a control on a field to kind of work with it? Because, for example, if I'm not supposed to send this brand if the category is not provided, right? Then I guess I can just simply not send it at the end of the day. For example, let's say this is my form. This is the entirety of my form. It can have the brand or it cannot have the brand. But if we don't have this field, we're not supposed to send it to the backend or to wherever. We can always compute another object. I believe some people call them like DTOs based on their familiarity with the C# and maybe Java ecosystems, like a data transfer object. So, like the thing that you are supposed to send, it doesn't need to match exactly the schema of your form or your component or your UI or whatever. So in this case, for example, if we decide that the brand field should only exist when the category field is different from having this other here. We could do something like form to send, form to send, like computed, and we could just pick up like value equals this form value, and we will have product schema. Fascinating. Very type safe. And then we can do something like return if value dot category is not equal to other, then we can return just whatever we have, and otherwise we can oh, I'm messing it up, am I not? How do I like? Anyway, I can write an if statement or whatever. I can do if value dot category equals other, then I can return like I can do delete. Do you ever use? Can you even do this? The operator delete operator must be optional. Really, I cannot make it optional. And my brain is not braining anymore. It's like 10:30 p.m. I don't know how to remove a field from an object, like completely remove. I don't want that key in that object. Anyone is gonna chime in? Not really. But apparently you have seen how you can do things. In the UI, super simple. Let me reshare. And let's forget about this for a moment. In the UI, we will just put a bunch of checks like we would do normally, okay? And you can make computed properties out of your, because, well, these are signals, right? So, for example, if the category is selected, this needs to be that. When you see a computed, your brain should think, okay, this is a computed right now, but this can easily be a resource, for example. Of course, we had a simplified example where we create a product based on fields that are just hard-coded here, right? But in real life, we probably will have an endpoint in our backend that will send us the brands that are available. Here, you won't actually change mine. That's very funny, because this brands property will just become a resource that, again, depends on the category. We send the category to the backend, we get back the list of brands, we just use it the same way. The only thing is changes, this becomes a resource, this becomes an HTTP call. Super simple, super convenient. So yeah, actually, you know what? I want to reshare this part that that Michael sent me. Forms latest test submit duplicated. Amazing. Amazing name for a file. Absolutely love it. And apparently here we have the validate standard schema field. I don't know how. I couldn't understand. In the package JSON, I think we only have like the standard schema spec. But we have Angular Forms 21 next.6. Maybe I need to use this one. Maybe let's, you know what? Let's go all in. Let's just copy and paste these dependencies fields to the package JSON. Let's try this. Let's delete. Let's kill mpx kill. Let's destroy our node modules. They are gone. And let's do npm story name execute depths. Oh wait, I haven't saved my JSON file. Let's go. Nice. uh, Probably I shouldn't show that comment, but on Twitch we got our first spam of this live channel. Amazing. It says that I can get cheap viewers on streamboo.com. Remove the space, obviously. So yeah, amazing. We grew so much, we now get spam messages. This is the first. Hopefully, it doesn't grow. I mean, the spam messages, not the channel. I hope the channel grows. Angular 21 Next.7 was just released now, really. Hopefully 21 Next.6 will suffice for our example. Absolutely amazing. I think my npm installation is still going on. This is the last thing I'm gonna check. Please hold on, everyone. Yes, that one is newer. I think I shared the wrong fork because I thought I had at least gone to .6 yesterday. It is .6. I am right now installing Angular 21 Next.6. It's done. Okay, let me reshare my screen and let's go. It's installed. Edit product. So okay, let's do it again. Let's do it again. Can I just oh, I don't need to remove the brand. Let's just simplify it for the sake of my own sanity. Let's just put this out and let's just comment this and comment this. We don't have categories. We don't care. We're just checking the schema. And let's also actually let's just comment this out and comment the rest because we're going to write a Zod schema now. Let's go import Z from Zod. Let's redo it. Okay. Product schemas, Z object, title. Please don't do this. It's a string. I just care about the price. Price Z number min. I don't need these comments. Okay, we have the simple schema. And here we don't have the product schema. We do have the product schema, right? No, yeah, right. This doesn't work, but this product schema. How does this one work? It doesn't. Export type, yeah, something like this. Now this works. I don't do this, and yeah, we're almost there. Now let's see if we can import actually validate. Sorry, I'm doing from the wrong place. The validate standard schema is here. It's here, guys. Thank you, Michael, so much. Validate standard schema. Let's check this one. Final example. Validate standard schema, CTX product schema. This is going to be amazing if this works. So here we have, yeah, if this is the error kind min. If this works out of the box, absolutely stunning. ng serve. Wait, why is it complaining now? Because of the other component. Okay. Let's we know that we have now the power to validate standard schemas. Let's also yes. For once you did a useful thing, Copilot. Thank you. Yes. 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 Edit product. Wait, I somehow I cannot input a negative price. Yeah, but it didn't work as much as I expected. What did I do wrong? Does that number mean 0? I did apply I did apply the validate standard schema. That's product schema. This product. Yes, yes, yes. Price. Solve validator didn't work. Apparently it didn't work. Somehow it's not showing anymore. The validation error. It used to show it and now it doesn't. But maybe that number plus order price. Okay. Kind of disappointing. Oh, CDK material .2, but I see the main angle, so just .6. Yeah. .6 gave us this function, but apparently does not. Well, you know what? Let me just quickly recheck the article from which I drew this part of the live stream. The standard schema integration. Let me just share the article with you. So npm install Zod. Yeah, we did it an hour ago. We created an object. Yeah, and maybe it just doesn't receive the error kind. Here's an idea. Let me, instead of this, let me provide something like price must be positive. Okay, and here instead of checking for the kind, let's do, you know what? Let's do for error of form dot price dot errors, like error, whatever, and let's do error dot message, I suppose. Error of, so yeah, I suppose this must work. Let's pick it up. 3. No, not really. No. Or maybe just I did do this, right? Oh, there is some object here. What object? Let's do, you know what, let's do the old-fashioned way, just use JSON pipe. What? Can you not import it? My VS Code is suddenly, it's in Angular common. Come on. Why do you need to slow me down? And yeah, where is my error? Here is my error. JSON, let's go. No, it doesn't have an error. Oh, kind standard schema, issue code too small, minimum 0, type number, inclusive message. Okay. So if we do the standard schema, I'm not an expert on standard schema at all. I want to remind you guys, but I was aware of it. So yeah. Now I can do just, you know what? If it's I can actually do if error.kind equals standard schema, then I can do something like not this, but error.issue.message. Let's go. Yeah, now I have a test with error. This error shouldn't be here, but let's do, you know what? Let's do any. Yes, this is going to work. Yay, it works. So if you're doing standard schema, you're probably getting a bit of a different type of error. But when I say the type of error, I mean just the interface of that error object. As you have seen, it was something like kind, standard schema, then issue, and then you had the big object that had everything describing that error. But it works. It works. It's absolutely amazing. I absolutely love it. Don't know much to say. I think there are still some unexplored topics, but so far in two live streams, we probably covered like almost everything. We did async validations, we did custom validations, we did validations with like HTTP resources, we did dynamic forms, we did schemas, and we did custom components. To recap everything, signal forms are so simple. Defining them is simple, validating them is simple, performing side effects or deriving new values from them is simple because they are based on signals. And uh, it turns out they will learn that it's also simple to reuse them using schemas, to create and reuse them using standard schemas like Zod and whatever. And it is also easy to create custom control components. You just define a component that has a model input named value, and maybe inputs title disabled and a bunch of other things also, but mainly that. I don't think I'm capable of doing any more examples. Everyone, thanks so much for joining. I think for the next one we're going to have a guest, so maybe not me solo struggling with new Angular stuff. So thanks everyone. Special thanks to Michael for helping set this final thing up, and also thanks to Amos, whose article we were checking today so much. See you on the next one. Bye.